I just got home from watching The Social Network, the Facebook movie, and I thought that this movie was going to be complete garbage, but it was actually really good. This review is going to tell you if you should watch this movie or not, of course, and it's also going to tell you my personal experiences with Facebook and what I think of it and all that garbage. Okay, so now let's talk about this movie. Jessie Eisenberg, the guy that plays Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is the guy that created Facebook, supposedly, and what this movie goes to show is to show how he did that, and also the two lawsuits that were against him. One lawsuit was because they say he stole the idea from them, and the second lawsuit was because the guy that worked with him, the co-founder of Facebook, got kicked out of Facebook, and he wants to be back into it. Jessie Eisenberg always plays the role of a nerdy loser, and I guess it's because what he looks like. I guess that's what they're trying to say, is that he looks like a nerd. So he's always in these movies, like, for an example, Zombieland, and now you can see The Social Network. He is a complete loser in this movie. It's the reason how he comes out with Facebook is because he and his girlfriend just broke up. She broke up with him because he's an asshole to her, and he becomes so depressed and so just wanting to get over it that he needs to occupy his time. So what he does is he makes Facebook. Now, Facebook was a small website at first. It was just a website where friends can write what they do and stuff like that in college, but then it became bigger. At first it was only exclusive to college students. It first started at Harvard, but then after Harvard it went to Columbia, Stanford, and other places. Now, this movie also shows how Facebook was, like I said, a small website, and it goes from universities to universities, but after that it even shows how it goes from universities to countries and how everybody gets it. And it also talks about MySpace, and you can see, like, Zuckerberg, or however you say his name, he takes some things from MySpace and kind of puts it in Facebook, and some things of his own life, like relationship status. Some guy was annoying him and talking about his relationship all day, and he just ran home and ran to the computer, and that's the thing he put in Facebook was relationship status and the wall and the information and all that stuff that people have nowadays is because of what he came up with. So what Mark Zuckerberg does is he gets financial aid or help, you can say, from his friend Eduardo, who's a business major. He gets a couple of thousands just to start the website. But what happens later is he starts going to this other guy, Sean Parker, the guy who created Napster, to see if he can make the small Facebook site, which it is in the movie, to a big one that you know of today. So what happens is pretty much Eduardo is getting slowly taken out of the picture, and Sean Parker is getting into the picture more about for the business. So he's pretty much choosing a business guy over his friend who helped him create Facebook, just so he can make it into a bigger website than what it was at that time. So Eduardo gets mad, and he's pretty much like, I'm gonna sue you. And this is not a spoiler because you see this actually in the beginning of the movie. You see the trials from both sides, so this is not spoiling anyway. But what I'm gonna say is that he gets so pissed off that he was let go from Facebook that he tries to sue Zuckerberg for what he has. So how does Zuckerberg get the idea for Facebook? He gets it through three guys that tell him, you know what, help us out with making a Harvard site, just to rate girls and communicate through Harvard that way. But what happens is he takes that idea and makes it even bigger and expands it. So you can say he stole it, or he just made it better because he put relationship status and the wall and other stuff that you know of Facebook today. Now, what I gotta say about this movie and the acting aspect is Jessie Eisenberg, I think that's how you say his name, he is great in this movie. I love his performance as Mark Zuckerberg. You really think he's an asshole, and you really feel that way about him. Justin Timberlake was pretty good as Parker, and I think that Andrew Garfield wasn't that bad, and I was really looking forward to Andrew Garfield because he's going to be the new Spider-Man, so I wanted to see how his performance would be in this movie, and I gotta say, I was actually surprised and I thought it was pretty good. So I think he'd be a pretty good Spider-Man. Hopefully he doesn't prove me wrong and becomes a terrible Spider-Man, but he could be potentially even better than Tobey Maguire. When I went to see this movie, I was looking to hate it because I was like, Facebook movie, they're just trying to make money, they're not going to take their time with it, this is going to be a really stupid movie. But I really enjoyed it, and I really liked it, and I encourage everybody to see it, especially if you have Facebook, go see it. Unless you're those 3 people who don't have Facebook. And when I say 3 people, I just mean, people who don't have Facebook. It's very rare nowadays. But what I gotta say is the rating for this movie, I would give it a 9, maybe even a 9.5 out of 10, because this is the year's second best film behind Inception, in my opinion, so far. I mean, there's still a lot of movies to go, but I love this movie, and that's what I think of it. My personal experience time with Facebook. Now, I'm not going to say that this Facebook sucks or anything because I use it. I use it every day almost. And it is pretty good actually. But there are a couple of complaints that I have with it. But I don't know if it's Facebook or if it's the people that I happen to be friends with on Facebook. People on Facebook to me don't seem, when they put on like statuses like this and I'll tell you if you're gay or not, or like this if you're freaking an asshole, or I'll tell you your personality rating, or I'll tell you your looks, I think that is retarded. I mean, that's probably not Facebook's fault, it's probably the people's fault. That's how they use Facebook. But I remember a time when Facebook was only exclusive to college students. Now they've opened it to everybody. And the reason for that, of course, is more members. Now you'll be like, who cares about that? The more members, the more advertisements, the more money Facebook makes. Another thing I also hate about the people on Facebook, and if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, please don't get mad, this is not personal. But if I write to you on Facebook IM, or comment on your status and you don't reply to it, it just gets annoying, I guess, for me. But that's just people's fault, that's not Facebook's fault. What is Facebook's fault is this. Notifications are ass. They're fucking annoying as hell. Because, okay, you're like, yeah, it notified me, told me who commented on what. Yes, but it doesn't go away. The fucking thing says 1, and I'm like, I click on it, and it's still there the whole time. It's just so annoying. That's one thing that I don't like with Facebook. That's a Facebook problem. And 2, another thing I like about Facebook, sometimes the Facebook IM doesn't work. So I can't IM people, and it just won't work for some reason. I don't know if that's my computer or if that's Facebook, but it is pretty annoying. I also don't like that there is no dislike button. I think there should definitely be a dislike button because you can't like everything. It's not possible. And I think it'd be funny to dislike someone's status, just to show them, yeah, your status sucks. And what? And another thing I don't like about Facebook is the games or apps or whatever they like to call it on it, like Farmville. What the fuck? I don't want an online farm. That shit's retarded. And then I read another funny fact about Farmville is that there's actually more people who play Farmville than actually there are farmers. That's pretty funny, I think. And my last annoyance with Facebook was that it used to be become a fan, but then they switched it now to like, and I think that's stupid because what if it's like, I hate the rain, and then it's going to come up like, Amr Shah likes I hate the rain. It makes no sense. It's completely retarded, But in the end, Facebook serves its purpose. It's a social networking website. I mean, you could say it's beyond that now. Now it's businesses. I mean, anything you do, you watch a movie like this, you freaking take a crap in the bathroom, you could like it probably. And it's kind of annoying, but what is great about it in the end, what is pretty good about Facebook is that you can stay connected to your friends, family members, people who you can't see every day, and you can talk to them. And there are other social networks that I think that are better, AIM for one, but I'm gonna say that Facebook is pretty good because you can comment on photos, you can comment on statuses, you can have status updates, you can write your info, relationship status, people can stalk you. I mean, that's a bad thing too, but everything has its own price. People say, okay, the stalkers are freaking annoying, but it's the people's fault. If they want to be stalked, they'll put all their information and be public and all that stuff they really want to. That is kind of the people's fault, especially the stalkers too. You know, if they're looking for someone and stalking, well, back in the day they used to do that with yellow pages. So I mean, it's up to the stalkers. They're just people who do that sort of stuff. So if you put your information out there, you're vulnerable to stalkers. That is not Facebook's fault. That is the people's fault. And now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to tell you that you should go to my Facebook. I'll actually put my Facebook right here. You can like it. And you can also add my personal Facebook because I really don't care anymore about how many friends I have. That's all people care about now. How many friends do I have? And they don't really care about communication sometimes too. They just care, oh, I got 1,000 friends, so I'm popular. But then they were like a loser in real life.